Hello and welcome to Weaving the Magic. This is Kelly and I'm going to do a reading today that's just like a reading. It's just whatever Spirit wants me to talk about. To be honest with you, I'm going through this thing right now where it's like I'm being told by Spirit, just speak. And I'm a Virgo with a Virgo South node, and when I get in my head and I try to start planning things and I try to do things, I get all worked up over stuff, and I'm just going to get out of my way and let the cards speak for me to whatever wants to come out. And, you know, if you feel tuned in to listen to these messages, then great. And that's what I'm meant to be doing. So this is the Justice card in reverse. Wow, the Mountain, Three of Pentacles. One more, just to balance it all out. Okay, you know best. You tell me. That's two. Okay. Oh, and the Fool. And the Daughter of Cups. Okay, so this is going to be a reading. Okay, on like speaking truth and being vulnerable and how much can be built of that. This Fool card, this little baby chick, this innocent, fluffy little newborn thing, like about to step off this branch. It's like, this is such a great Fool card. Look at this yellow that's like hopeful, sunshine, optimistic, expecting a good thing, expecting a happy thing, expecting joy. And this is also, this yellow is like solar plexus. I'm confident. I am capable of leading myself. Hope, the Fool card. And I'm going to start here because this is the journey to go down and in to the emotion. This Daughter of Cups, this is the Page of Cups. This is like the inner child key. To go down and in to the Daughter of Cups. To really like get to know myself, get to know yourself. This is the journey. I'm meant to talk about the journey. I'm meant to talk about how you rectify your beginnings, your naivety, your not knowing, your need to awaken, to be taught, to be guided, and not know who the fuck to trust in this world to guide you. That's why we go down and in. We come into the emotional journey. So this reading really is about like everything. It's the journey. Going down and into the emotions, doing shadow work, retrieving the inner child, doing soul retrieval. All these are fancy terms for like, why do I believe the things that I believe? Why do I feel the way that I feel? Why do I defend myself against certain things? Why do I not allow myself to do certain things? Why do I push myself to do certain things, and why do I feel a certain type of way about it? Why do I have the relationships that I have, or lose the things that I lose? Like, why can't I? Why do I? It's all of that stuff. Getting to know yourself at an emotional level. And like, look at how pure this thing is, just floating on the surface here, and that's what it's about. Vulnerability requires us going deeper than surface level. Because if we want to have true justice in the world, and we want to climb mountains, and we want to be able to achieve, and we want to be able to build, we need to like be able to go in, down, and dirty first. Because there's like a plethora, there's a rainbow of information. There's so much colorful experience to be had, experiencing your own emotional self. And ultimately, look at this zero when we take the Fool's journey and we do this work. And we come out and we seek justice on the other side, and we do things and we action and we climb that mountain. We end up back here, best case scenario anyways, enjoying the time that we have with ourselves, enjoying our own emotional experience. So we do the work of inner. We start out on this awakening journey. We do the work of inner. We come to see ourselves as both the white and black, both the light and dark, both the mouth that needs to eat and the body that wants to just float peacefully on the ocean of the world. And then we come to this where it's like we see this injustice. This is in reverse. Justice in reverse. We see this injustice. We see this duality, this despairing between the black and the white. We see how unfair things are. And for whatever purpose we were brought to this earth, we see those specific things. We see those specific pains, hurts, injustices, unfairnesses, inequalities. And we do the journey, the dance, the beautiful tango of learning what judgment is versus discernment, because justice is somewhere in the middle. Justice is hinged upon having enough discernment to know that's outside of my integrity or within. That's love, or that's judgment, that's condemnation, that's a disallowance of anything. And this is both like a mental journey, as represented by the sword here, but also like a journey within. Look at all this mirrored energy here, like how all of these things point in. And it's like learning how to point your finger at yourself to like, how am I recreating this? How am I causing this? How am I recreating this? How am I mirroring this? How am I continuing this? Or how am I keeping it hidden? How am I banishing my wisdom to the shadows of this? Or how am I allowing myself to see it? And only once we can see and assess ourselves clearly, like these both had to be turned upright. Start over here, we had to turn these both upright through the emotions and the intellect to then get to this physical plane with the pentacles here of unifying ourselves in body. So this is like your emotional and mental experience as a soul in a body, climbing the mountain, which, by the way, this is the Hermit's mountain. This is where you go to seek the wisdom. This is the monk on the mountain. This is like Jesus in the desert. This is Buddha in the desert. This is like the mountains of solitude and the magnitude of how much you can learn to create, which is this number 3. 3 is all about creation. How much you can learn how to create in balance, in harmony. This reminds me of like a cairn, where you stack the rocks on top of each other. How this 3 of Pentacles is balanced on the 1 on the bottom. And by the way, this 1 that it's balanced on is that same color, yellow, of hope. Like this is some fragile thing to hang your hat on. It's a fragile dance. Why is the word fragile? It's so teetering on the edge. It's so hairpin trigger. It's so because the line between being a fool in a good way and a bad way is so thin. We have to become willing to be vulnerable to possibly misstep and trust that there's some thing up higher on the mountain that has the wherewithal and the wisdom to see us and maybe catch us before we fall, or like shoot out in front of us and put some soft thing at the bottom of our fall, or just trust that the fall is part of the process of learning how to climb this mountain. It's very interesting. What else, Spirit? What else? I'm going to pull another card and see if anything else wants to be. Alright, this card came out for me earlier today, so I'm not surprised. Ace of Wands. When we take this journey, which is, by the way, like, I feel like this wants to be both under these cards, because this is the spark of life that brings us into the human journey anyways. I feel like this is what we come from. This is what brings us here. And then this is inspiration. This is like, once we've done this journey, and by the way, this journey happens over and over and over again, if you're continuing to remain alive, and I don't mean just in a survival standpoint, I mean if life means something to you, you keep taking this journey, you keep checking in with yourself, and harmonizing. I almost wanted to say like righting the wrongs or correcting, whatever's not right, but it's not about that, because that's judgment. It's about coming to terms with and harmonizing everything that's there and climbing higher up the mountain. There's a saying in NA, because of the symbol, NA, Narcotics Anonymous, because of the symbol, that's much like a pyramid. That is like, the broader the base, the higher the point of freedom. The broader the base of our self-understanding, the higher the point of our freedom, of self-awareness, self-mastery, and therefore mastery over this world, which is just a concept that we've perceived. Basically, the more we know ourselves, the more we can, I don't want to use the word control, the more we can conduct. That's the word. That's the magician's word. That's the musician's word. That's the orchestrator's word. Like, we are the tool through which the music of the universe is played. And the more that we fine-tune knowing what our song is, knowing what our spirit is calling us to do, the notes and the steps that we're being asked to take, the more we're inspired to take those next steps up the mountain. And the more of us that do that, the broader the base, the higher this point of enlightenment, the more divine inspiration can flow through. And this is also like the energy, the fuel that's needed to grow things. Like, this is much like the sun, this Ace of Wands. This is much like the sun emanating this divine spark that can just keep flowing, fueling another generation, another generation, another generation of fools on a wandering, beautiful search to find out what it means to be human, to each and individual, every one of us. Four of Pentacles. But sometimes we get so hung up on what's here, what's real, what's practical, what we can actually put our feet on and our hands on and wrap our arms around and like eat and consume and remain comfortable within. And I love that this is very much a cross and an ankh and a divine Vesica Pisces and a diamond. The Merkaba is in here. Like, every divine shape is in this card right here, because here we are on this journey, and some of us, maybe that you found this video out of nowhere, you're trying to transcend the human journey. You're trying to ascend out of the suffering that it is to be human. And I'm sorry to tell you, but for as long as you're alive, being human comes with at least a small bit of suffering. And what I mean by like small bit of suffering, it can be as minuscule as having to sneeze occasionally. It doesn't have to actually be harmful, painful, wretched suffering on massive levels. But being human carries some weight. There's going to be some weight in the human body as humans are now. And I don't think that it is the goal that we should be having to like completely leave that behind, transcend or ascend that. But it's like embracing. See how this thread is wrapped around these pentacles? It's like both in embracing that pain, embracing that weight, and allowing it to open us and expand it. See how these two pentacles are like pushing outward on the side while these two are wrapped up? It's like the compression and the expansion. This is like cervix dilation, how each one of us are born, how everything in the world comes to be through this in and out, breathing in and breathing out, expanding and contracting. That's the word I was looking for. But there's like a note here about, look at what happens when we contract our will. Look at how small that yellow is in the middle. We get stuck. The Four of Pentacles is like, I need to hold this steady. And it doesn't allow for more expansion. It's being stretched to its absolute limits right here. And that makes the personal will, which is this yellow color, so small. And look what's next to it. It's green. This is the heart chakra. This is growth. This is opening your heart to more emotional depth, more emotional wisdom, which comes next is the blue. This is opening your third eye, opening your throat chakra, beginning to speak and have conversation with the universe, with the symbolism. Then it moves into the purple, which is the crown chakra, opening up to other concepts, differences of opinion, different thoughts, new schools of thinking, new ways of understanding. It's like allowing your ability to perceive to be retrained. And this feels like heavy stones, like I hear stone sliding across stone. This is a slow moving transformation because we're just one generation of humans in a long, long line of humanity. So like there's also, I want to speak to, if you've been drawn to this video and you're on a spiritual journey and you're feeling the pressure, let it go. Like, let it go. You don't have to have so much pressure. It's not all on your shoulders. No one of us is doing this alone. And it's like slow moving progress for, like, that's supposed to be grace, I'm being told. The slow moving process, the slow moving progress is grace because it's teaching us that we have no other choice but to be patient. There's no point in trying to rush the process because it can't be rushed. So it's trying gracefully to teach us patience, which affords us the like enjoyment of going through this cycle over and over again instead of condemning ourselves for going through this cycle over and over again. Because like the earth doesn't shame itself for wanting to have spring, summer, fall, winter over and over again. It doesn't have to learn through every one of those cycles because it's an idiot who's doing it all wrong, who's been programmed wrong, and it's wrong. That's not the case at all. It's because that's its nature to move in cycles. Humans are much the same. Ten of Swords. Wow. All right, so I know this is like a bull, I think, at least, but it kind of also looks like the Devil card, but with this sword through its eyes. This feels like a death to consumerism and capitalism and having and hoarding and holding and feeling like we need to have it all together, that it all needs to be achieved and accomplished and done already. This doesn't belong here. Like, I want to put it not on the table because it doesn't belong here. This is what we're moving out of, this Ten of Swords, which is like a human in the Rider-Waite, Pamela Coleman Smith artwork. It's a figure on the ground face down with 10 swords at its back in a pool of blood because like the humanity has been killed. Because the human is dead. The being is dead. The ability to even transmit thought, energy, clarity, insight is dead. Because if you kill the human, that's the bull, that's the beast, this feels like the meat and the potatoes of being human, the body. If you kill the body, if you numb the nervous system, if you distract, if you jam full of all of the crap, you can't climb a mountain like that. You can't see clearly like that. You can't be lightly on the branch. You can't be floating on the water when you're this big, heavy-ass weight, getting stabbed in the back every time you turn around or try. It's like that super domineering, like, grab the bull by the horns. Why? Can't you just let the bull be? The bull doesn't have horns so a human being can come along and corral it. The bull has horns for its own reasons that nature intended, so it can survive and have its own life, because why does it deserve to be stabbed in the back like this? I think a lot of this message is about not forsaking the human being in us. It's not forsaking the human being for the spiritual, because we're both. We are all, that's all one thing. You can't separate the two. Not one is better than the other. Not one is more worthy than the other. We're human beings that are animated by spirit. Again, I'm going to take that Wands card out lest I forget. This is what brings us to life here. It's like, here's life in a nutshell. Boom, here you go. Animate this human. Go on this fool's journey. Figure out what feelings are like. Figure out what integrity is to you and what you want to do with this life. And then climb that mountain. Jump off the top. Become a fool again and do it all over again. This is how you continue rising. This is like playing the game. Cat's Cradle. Whatever. And this is like my inspiration to be, it's interesting. I'm glad that I put this out in a cross, and I hadn't consciously thought of it, but I have a Grand Cardinal Cross in my astrology chart, and it's one of the things that animates and fuels everything that I do. So it's just interesting that here it is, like plain as day to me. So basically this reading was just about, like, if you're just wanting to have a clean picture, it feels like, you know, if you want to just stop chiding yourself for being on the cycle, for being human, if you're trying to transcend and it's not working, it's because, like, you're not meant to transcend. You're meant to embrace and be divine right here, right now, in this world, as a part of it, but like floating gracefully on the edge, seeing yourself reflected in all of the actions, all of the movements, all of the things, all of the variety, and not judging it, being at peace with it, knowing that you're innocent, knowing that you contain everything, and that when you can remove yourself to a high enough perspective, you can see the divine spark that brings this all to life, the reason for being. And I know if you are drawn to this video that this will make sense to you. So I'm glad I was called to share. If this resonates, if you've got comments, I'd love to hear your stories. I love interacting and collaborating and sharing the wisdom, sharing the joy, sharing the passion for this kind of just knowing, this kind of validation that, like, we're here doing some cool stuff together. And if you appreciate the way that I share, please share back with me. Share this message to anyone that you think might enjoy it. Give a little thumbs up and like and subscribe. And I'll see you in another video. Take care.